Hello there, and welcome. You've stumbled once again into our little corner of the internet here at Horde of Tales. I am Marcus, also known as the Individual, and no, Billie Jean is not my lover. We are here today with, again, a bunch of amazing adventurers and players, and we will be also accompanied by the fourth adventurer in a little bit, but until then, I would like to already introduce you to the players who are already available here. We do have Serial returning today. We have Austin also over here. And of course, this would not be a proper party if we would not have Caro with us today. Hello, everyone. I am glad to be back with you. I've been sitting on a certain cliffhanger for a week, and I am glad to kind of work that out with all of you. But before we get to that, let's not talk about cliffhangers. Let's not talk about what's about to happen in the game. You all have noticed that the calendar has turned 1 month further, and we are in October. It's officially spooky season. And I always wondered, are you people fans of spooky season? Are you fans of the Halloween
Absolutely.
and the goblins and the ghouls?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I basically watch daily horror movies, so it's always Halloween season.
It's always spooky season.
Yeah.
Very true.
That's excellent.
So, because I have always been like, the thing is, I didn't really grow up with Halloween, like on the European side of the Great Pond, like Halloween. Of course, you see it in the movies and stuff like that, but it's not that big. But later, like in teenage years, I had many friends who really liked Halloween. But the thing is, Halloween is so shortly followed by Christmas. And I've always been a really big Christmas fan. So I always feel like I never get into the proper Halloween spirit. And I wonder, does any one of you have tips for me to get into a proper spooky season spirit? I mean, we can watch horror movies and stuff like that, but anything else that can get me into the spirit, or the ghost, or the white, or whatever haunts the night.
I'd suggest reading some horror stories, perhaps some older, Gothic fiction. I am a big Gothic fiction fan, but it could be interesting. Just huddle up in some blankets and at night at the light of some, I was gonna say candles, but probably you'll need some good reading light to not hurt your eyes. Just share ghost stories with friends. I think that.
So I should get
really
myself some Mary Shelley and the likes, and
definitely. I mean, you should just do that just because, but it's a good time to do it.
Perfect.
It's actually pretty hard since I have the same problem that I was never really proper introduced to Halloween because it's not a thing here, or when I was younger it wasn't really a thing. So yeah, it basically just started at the time when I was younger. So
I mean,
but Halloween
just,
party, a really good Halloween party. That's the thing.
Just buy a pumpkin and a skeleton, and then you're good to go. That's Halloween.
See, this is a delightfully easy solution. I will make sure that I will get both of those and will report back on my findings if those two in combination will really get me into the Halloween spirit.
And you need these special eyes that is much cooler than the normal one, because then when it's getting warmer it starts to smoke and you need to put that into the pumpkin after it's carved.
Yes.
That's pretty spooky.
So what I will do, what I gather from these tips is, while I'm throwing a Halloween party, I am going to read horror fiction while having a pumpkin with steaming ice and a skeleton next to me. That should do the trick, right?
Yeah, afterwards a horror movie, like a Spanish horror movie. Because they are the best ones.
What?
There are actually so many good
right.
Spanish horror movies. Like,
I was like,
one of the best ones
I don't know them, but it's not true. I know a bunch of them, and yes, they are pretty good. So you are right. Yeah.
Don't watch
Perfect.
any German horror movies because they are trash.
We're getting more and more specific with this. This sounds like a perfect manual. And I hope whoever is watching this and is like, hey, I also need help of getting into the spooky spirit. Well, here's a great series of tips. Thanks, everyone.
Come back again for Christmas season.
I can already feel the shivers going down my spine. What also makes me have shivers go down my spine out of excitement is the session we're about to go into. But before we go into that session, just our usual announcements before we go. While you are here on the channel of Horde of Tales, and while we're not discussing on how to get into the spooky spirit, we play TTRPGs here. And on Tuesdays, we play Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. We are currently in session 35 of our ongoing Eberron campaign, following the adventure series of Convergence Manifesto. We are in chapter 5 of Convergence Manifesto, titled Perfect Timing. And if you like what you see here, you can find the adventures of Convergence Manifesto at acrosseberron.com, where you can find more information on how to acquire these adventures. We use as our virtual tabletop Foundry VTT, and the music that you hear is by Dark Fantasy Studios. Our overlay is made by our very own Caro, and the character art that you see in the overlay is a co-op between Caro and Serial. And this character art you don't only see in the overlay, but also every time our adventurers go into battle and we see their beautiful tokens. Talking about battles, should you see any kind of battle maps here, they have probably been built in Dungeon Draft. And I make an active effort of not announcing this just before the sessions in which there is a battle map, so that my players don't go like, oh, he announced that there might be a battle map, we're going into battle. No, I'm just going to make a habit out of it with announcing this every time before we start a session. Another thing I announce every time before we go into session is our cat vantage, because on this channel we love our cats, and on the session ahead maybe it is more important than ever before that you, dear viewer, keep an eye on the screens of our players and see if there's a cat dropping by for them, because if you spot a cat on a screen, you can use your channel points to give a player cat advantage. So if you spent the points, make sure that you tell us which player or character, sometimes it gets confusing, gets the cat vantage, and an adorable little kitty cat will pop up next to their window. As long as they have cat vantage, they can spend that cat vantage to give themselves advantage on a roll. Keep in mind that each player can only always have one dose of cat vantage, so don't give your cat vantage to someone who is already holding on to a cute kitty cat. Well, with all of that being said, how about I roll a little intro and then we see where we go from here, right? Let's roll the intro. Be right back. We are back, and I'm just now noticing that I am still hiding our very dear Delphine, who has been released once again from his prison. There he is again. Professionals, nothing but professionals.
My goodness.
Like always.
When last we left our adventurers, some of them were in quite a pickle, while others were dealing with bureaucracy. How did they end up in that situation? Well, let me tell you. After a fight on a lightning rail in the nation of Karnath, where the party was almost robbed of their authorization crystals, special shards that they needed to enter the plane of perfect order known as Donvi, the party came to the position where they had to make their jump from a moving lightning rail off a bridge leading across a chasm and down into the ravine below. After that jump, the party made their entrance into the plane of Danvi, where they soon also noticed that one of the members of the Emerald Claw that they fought on the lightning rail had made their way there. And as they were given chase, they were also introduced to some of the inhabitants of Danvi, mostly very protocol-following Modron machinery. Further forward in the plane, the party witnessed the machine, a gigantic clockwork machine, in which the Quintessence Engine, an item that the party is looking for, was integrated. However, due to some disturbances by the Emerald Claw cultist, who was quickly disposed by the robotic servants of the plane, the Quintessence Engine was moved to the reparation zone, and the party needed to find a way to get there. Rain, ever the clever and impulsive party member, decided to impersonate a celestial, which started a chain of snowballing complications leading to Rain as a celestial angel also being led to reparation because she was malfunctioning. This led the rest of the party to start the red tape spiel of getting access to such reparation zone and dealing with queues and paperwork and the fact that their authorization crystals seem to be belonging to other people. Delphine finding out that her authorization crystal did not match up to her, and Rebus discovering that their crystal seems to be linked to an individual which was called Tuvaktuul. Meanwhile, Rain, ever the clever and impulsive member of the party, decided to make the best of a bad situation and try to scope out the reparation zone, a giant, well-ordered warehouse where all different kind of parts that were just mildly defect or not working could be found. As she went about to do that, she was interrupted by a tall creature made out of marble and gears and chains, dispelling her magic and referencing to themselves as Tuvaktuul. And we left the party at that moment when Rain was eye to eye with this certain individual. And we are not going to first look at what's happening to Rain at this moment. We're letting her in that scene for a bit, and we're going to the rest of our party, who have just been given a bit of priority on the queues now that many of the working Modrons there are convinced that Rebus is actually a certain Tuvaktuul. You have been sent to the proper lines, and according to some protocols that have been cited to you, have been allowed to jump the line, to the disgruntlement of quite a few people who, even though you don't understand their languages per se, make it clear in their body language that they might have already waited in line for quite some time. You are brought to the head of one of these queues on this level that you've been brought to, and at that desk that you are brought to, seated behind it, is what basically looks like two cubes stacked on each other, and each cube has a face of its own, and sprouting from each cube is also a set of arms, which are currently busy filing and writing paperwork. And as the party is being brought up to that individual, you see both faces looking at the group and speaking in common to you. Greetings, Tuvaktuul and entourage. We did not expect you to see you on this level, great Tuvaktuul. What business brings you to this part of Danvi?
Right. It's a bit of a out of the ordinary visit. We are just going to check on a fellow companion who has been taken to reparations. I just have a personal interest in overseeing that, and they are accompanying me. So, right.
The stacked individual, these two boxes on top of each other, have their faces now looking at you, Tuvaktuul. And while they seem to, at least they look at you, acknowledge you, but while they do that, their arms and hands keep moving as they do whatever paperwork. And then you hear this machine say, "Understood. Do you have a reference number for the individual and or item or object or construct or other unexplained phenomena you are looking up in the reparation zone?"
Right.
No.
Well, sadly the reference number wasn't shared with me. It just happened, and it's been a little bit of a unexpected error. So, but I'm confident we'll be able to find them. I think they were escorted in following the Quintessence Engine.
Quintessence Engine. Fascinating. Please, wait one moment. And these faces on the boxes, they slide into the boxes, and like little doors close on the boxes. And you hear you hear from inside of these containers, you hear like a rattling, and outside of the boxes, you see there's like these little lamps that start glowing, each individually, as if there's like some kind of loading bar that's progressing on the outside of the box. And this goes on for a moment while this person just is there anything you would like to do while that happens?
Tuvaktuul, what exactly are we doing here? Like, do you not have, like, access to just go?
Well, we need to. It would take a really long time to find where they have been taken, so it just makes sense to check beforehand. And...
No, actually not. I mean, I could just basically tell you where they went, like direction-wise.
Yes, that's why I'm asking. I pointed at the boxes.
I mean, I can cast a spell. And then we get the direction.
I mean, they didn't like when I cast the spell last time, but I mean,
You grilled someone. That's a different thing.
Well, all right, fine.
And I need to remind you, this is not a barbecue.
That might save us some time. I turned to the boxes. Is any of them still, receiving information or...
Both of these boxes on top of each other still have their little doors closed, and there's still this... But the moment you turn to them, you see that there's one final light that starts burning, and you hear a beeping sound coming from them. Doors open, the faces come back out of the boxes. Referenced archives. Quintessence Engine has indeed been brought to Reparation Zone 59673 ticks ago. Do you request visitation rights for Quintessence Engine?
Yes, please. That would be very helpful.
Please state the purpose of your visitation to the Quintessence Engine.
I had a personal interest in making sure that it was repaired correctly because I saw a foreign visitor try to grab it earlier, and that's not very common, so I have
Modron,
an inkling I might know.
Modron units 67 through 954 have indeed filed reports of unknown individuals entering the plane. Are you here to dispense justice on them, as is your purpose as an inevitable?
Well, that would make sense, obviously. I'm also told that these individuals with me have an interest in that other visitor, and they are under my protection and rightful tourists as of now. So,
Understood. Your request is fair and acknowledged, Tuvaktuul. To confirm this request, please hand over your authorization crystal so we can log it to the proper protocols.
I do so.
You hand it over, and the lower set of arms takes the authorization crystal. Again, these little tendrils vanish in the crystalline structure, and there's a rattling sound as it goes and checks through. And after a few moments, ba-bing! Authorization crystal is authorized. Thank you very much, Tuvaktuul. And they hand over the crystal.
I'll take it back and just go as soon as we can on our way.
Please follow escort modrones being prepared for you right now. And as these boxes say that, speaking in perfect synchronicity, teleporting in next to you again in this blocky apparition, you see again these little modron machines that appear and get ready to escort you to where you need to go.
So one question. There are lots of different peeps around here. Probably with the authorization crystal somewhere. How would you say it will be a very stupid idea to try to steal one of them in this area?
I mean, as a GM, I'm not here to judge about the stupidity of your ideas, but you are correct that if there is an area where you would like to steal an authorization crystal from someone, this place would be a good place to try because there's probably many people here with an authorization crystal, but at the same time, there's also a lot of people here. So that might be a bit challenging to take it from them. But you have quite the array of people to take it from. And that is one thing to consider. In the meantime, a sneaky rain has snuck in. Hello, Ida.
Hello. Continue, please.
Okay,
All right,
I guess.
So with Reyna no, okay.
Yeah, and I guess most of them are very concentrating on looking into the direction where their line goes. I wanna try and steal myself a new crystal.
All right, as you go attempt that, can you first, before you just go and pickpocket something, because I assume Delphine might be brash, but she's not stupid.
Yeah, she's actually not stupid.
She's usually so like well tempered, and now in this realm is when you decide to be chaotic. Like now.
Hey, listen! I lost my fucking crystal. I need a new one to get out of this shit.
That's what you get for losing Rain.
You're traveling with this celestial being, Rebus. You know, like it's fine. You're gonna be okay. You don't need one.
Delphine,
But
could
also,
you?
please do it. I need to see this.
She's smart, not wise.
Could you give me first of all, an investigation check?
Okay, let's see.
And don't forget, you have been granted Catvantage by
I'm not using it for that.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's still just 11. So
11?
yeah.
All right. As your party gets ready to be escorted, you do notice like there's quite a few queues here, and you do spot there for you. You spot two potential interesting nearby targets to try to get their authorization crystal. One of them is a one of these ant-like creatures that you saw here. They actually have like the lower extended body of an ant, and then the upper body is a little bit more upright. They have multiple arms, and they're currently in conversation with another ant-like entity. And you can see from like a pouch and a belt that they have around their hip, you see an authorization crystal dangling. That's one of the possible targets that would be interesting. Another one where you can very easily spot the authorization crystal is what looks like a but at first sight looks very regularly humanoid, but then you notice that they have, instead of like irises in their eyes, their entire eyes are just glowing, and it's almost as if there's permanently some kind of steam coming off from their eyes, and they're just currently totally focused on a book they're reading, and they just have the book in front of them. And while they're reading, sometimes you can hear them go, and then they flip to the next page. But you can also see the authorization crystal there peeking out of a pocket. Which target you want to go for?
The book one seems actually like the better one.
Yeah? You want to go for the reading person with the glowy eyes?
Yeah, I'm going for them.
Cool. Can you give me a sleight of hand check, please?
I want to go over there, like seeing the person interested in the book and being basically looking over their shoulder if I'm at least a little bit taller than them or on the side, and then be like, "Oh, this looks like a very interesting book. What is this about?" And that's like try to sniff it. And I'm using the cat advantage.
You're using the cat advantage? That might be
Yeah.
a wise choice.
Oh, this is not bad. Numbers. I get a +4, and I have 18. That's a 22.
22. Nice.
That's a well, it's not the maximum, but it's close.
You lean over, you say what you just said, and even before this person can respond, you pull the authorization crystal out of the pocket, slide it into the sleeve of your arm, and the person turns around. And as you looked over the shoulder, you notice that you can't read anything that's written in that book. And the person turns around and starts speaking, do you by any chance speak Primordial?
No, I speak. Somewhere in the past I learned Infernal, which might not be the same.
No, but this language does not translate for you, and the person just looks a bit annoyed now.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
As you wander away, the person just shouts something after you, like, goes back to their book, completely unaware of what just conspired. As you now have yet another stolen authorization crystal. The rest of the party, I assume you just nicely follow the Modrons, who will escort you to the reparation zone?
I just turned to the playlist up and realized there's been jazz playing this whole time. And that explains so much, honestly.
It's the elevator music.
I like it. Delphine probably hates it.
Yep. Just to be clear, this is the music the characters hear in-game while they're here queuing.
Yeah. As we leave, Delphine just turns to the helper Modron at the disc. Just like, goodbye, $2, Tim.
The faces just look at you with a confused but friendly smile. What was that? Tuvaktuul?
2 box Tim, because it's 2 cubes.
Excellent.
We
Bye.
continue the proud tradition. Oh, another tradition that we hopefully will not make a tradition of, thus it is not a tradition. As we have the party follow the Modrons, you are let out of this queuing area. Someone who's certainly not queuing at this point is elsewhere and still has the hand of a being made out of marble and gears on her cheek. Rain, you are still flying a little bit,
Mhm.
but this massive 4-meter tall figure is looking at you and has dispelled your disguise self and is now has an intrigued expression and says, "Explain yourself."
I mean, that all depends. Is Audacity welcomed in these parts? By you?
Audacity is a fascinating concept. It can challenge. It can move forward. Is your audacity one that challenges justice?
Subjective.
The entity leans a bit backwards, pulls the hand back from you, and just seems to be like, you're floating a bit upwards, but this entity doesn't, like, even standing on the ground is like able to keep eye contact with you.
Like, purposefully not, but that could mean different things to other people.
So you argue for a relativity of justice.
Yeah.
Interesting. But not important for your disturbance here. Considering to the protocols that I can access, and considering that I can access all the protocols, an appearance by a type 438 humanoid from a different plane is not registered, expected, scheduled, or in any way documented.
So it's like it doesn't exist.
Not yet, as we
Well,
speak.
then close your
I-
eyes and then we can let this not exist.
I am unable to comply with that request.
That's
But
a
I do
shame.
ask you to comply with my request. State your business.
Excuse me. Phone off. The expression is retained this kind of neutral thing. I'm not. You keep
There's a
describing it like this
slight-
stone statue.
What you did notice that last time
It
there were
cracked.
like little cracks around the lips appearing. But for the rest, the expression is fairly neutral.
Does that hurt? You know when you do the.
I do not know pain. State your business.
I'm off to retrieve something. To challenge not justice, but knowledge, complacency, physics itself. Once I have it, I'll be on my way. And this plane will not be harmed for it. In fact, it
State-
seems that anything that is amiss or undone simply is repaired, adjusted, and whatever harmony you value here continues. It is of no consequence.
What exactly do you seek to retrieve?
Well, that's a bit of a conundrum, because you know things are subjective, and if I tell you what that is and you deem it something you don't want taken, well, that sort of makes it troublesome for me. Can you understand the conundrum you've put me in here?
No. There is no subjectivity in this, nor a conundrum. Going by your statement, you are seeking something.
Yeah.
There is no subjectivity in what you seek. It must be something specific. Otherwise, seeking it would be hard, complicated, and for a being of your type, maybe even impossible.
If I were to say I came here to seek a blade of grass, would I be allowed to leave with it?
I would at least consider your request.
If I were to say I seek to leave here in the company of your most important person in your hierarchy, would I be allowed to leave?
I would consider the request.
Interesting. And when you consider a request, does that involve telling other people, or is that just a you thing?
You see Tuvaktuul at that moment just pondering. The concept of you is fairly subjective in Danvi.
You got me there. Your name was Tuvaktuul, you said?
We are Tuvaktuul.
Can I go show you what it is before I make a decision about it?
Make a persuasion check with
Okay.
disadvantage.
No! Sorry, wrong character sheet, but my persuasion is +5, however. I'm like, what? This is not so low. Sorry,
I'm a
everyone.
sorcerer.
Thank you for being patient with me. I'm here. I'm
No
happy to be
problem.
here so much.
No problem. You're coming in hot. Don't worry.
Oh my goodness. Okay. The lowest roll was an 11. If my persuasion is +6, 17. The other one was a 14.
17.
So
With-
total
with-
disadvantage.
So the total was 17?
17.
With disadvantage. That is not bad.
Otherwise, it would have been a dirty 20.
Hmm. If you are capable of showing it to me, you assume or know that the object you're seeking for is somewhere in this vicinity. Am I correct?
That is correct.
If you tell me what you're looking for, I can perfectly pinpoint where it might be, which would make this entire endeavor more compact.
As Rain looks around, it's just the Modrons and everything floating around. I don't hear noise. I don't see my companions in the distance.
If you're looking around, especially now that you're kind of like maybe settled down from the fact that this entity has confronted you, you
Mhm.
would notice
I'm
that
caught.
in this area that leads into a part of the warehouse you've been moved through, there are Modrons here of various sizes, but they currently have ceased what they are doing and are actually like looking at what is happening here.
So the jig is up for all intents and purposes here. Rain is completely alone, at less than half her hit points and even less spell capacities. The party is nowhere to be seen. I'm gambling here.
Mm.
Damn it. I'm looking for. Oh, now I feel nervous. Can you make all of those go stop looking?
Tuvaktuul looks, and even without saying a word, all of the Modrons at the same time start moving again and return to their business.
I'll fly over to their shoulder, and before I get close, I'm like, "May I?" And I just point at their shoulder, assuming it's big enough for Rain to sit on.
Not on one shoulder. I don't know. Rain is not like super small or anything. No, not on one shoulder. Like Rain could like sit on both shoulders as if Tuvaktuul is like a parent and they're sitting on the shoulders like a kid, but not on one shoulder, like some kind of angel on the shoulder.
I am looking for the, what was it called again? Something engine. I am looking for the Quintessence Engine.
Quintessence Engine?
It is broken. Not by my doing.
No. The doing of another intruder from a different plane. It is suffering
I tried to take down.
That is not in any report.
Happened outside the amphi.
What is not in reports has not happened. But it is in the reports that the Quintessence Engine has been imperfected and is currently in maintenance.
Do you like imperfections?
No.
So if I take it off your hands while it's imperfect, then there is no loss here.
What is imperfect can be perfected.
Subjective.
They look at you, and there's for brief another little crack in the cheeks, like from the mouth, as if they're trying to move the lips in a way that is not natural to them.
And that's exactly what Ray wants to point out. Like, I mean, one would assume because it's here, things ought to be perfect. You're here. And looks back. Pretty good. Perfect, I guess others would say. But if your face keeps doing that, then what was there can be further changed. So perfection isn't a static thing. And you seem to be what I would call enjoying this.
Please state your name.
I am Rain. It's a pleasure to meet you, Tuvaktuul.
Individual Rain.
Yes.
Please follow.
Okay.
And Tuvaktuul starts moving, leading you back into the warehouse.
I'll walk. I don't know how long I've been flying. There is a limit. I don't think I'm there, but I want to be conscious.
No, you're not there yet. I think it's like an hour or something that you can fly with the boots, total, during a day. But no matter what the limit is, you're not there yet. You haven't been having them on.
4 hours.
4 hours even. So yeah, no, you're still good.
Okay.
All right. So, Rain is going to check out the warehouse together with Tuvaktuul. Meanwhile, the rest of the party has exited the queuing area, has left behind the jazzy music that the Danvians seem to enjoy, and is currently on a hovering platform outside of any kind of structure here. You're basically floating through air, surrounded by thin wisps of cloud and multiple sources of light that seem to illuminate the endless sky that you're currently hovering over. The disc you're on is large enough for all of you to stand on, together with 3 Modrons that accompany you. And even though while it seems that the disc is moving at an impressive speed, you don't notice any velocity. You don't feel the wind blowing in your face. You don't notice that velocity is pulling you in any direction or something. It feels like a very surreal experience. Certain laws of gravity don't seem to work the same way here. And as that disc goes through the air, you see coming up ahead of you another structure, cubical and massive, looming ahead of you. The disc flies up to an opening in that structure and slows down as it enters and lands. And the moment that the disc that you are on is on the ground inside of the building you entered, the disc cleanly vanishes into the ground as if that disc was never there and is now a part of this building. The Modrons turn to the three of you. We have arrived at Reparation Zone. We will escort you to the location of the Quintessence Engine. Please follow Great Tuvaktuul. It is an honor to have a leader of the hierarchy in our following.
Somehow I have a bad vibe here. I
don't
can't
know. I mean,
find it out.
I feel like we're having like a really easy time with this. Like, I don't know
Too
where Rain
easy.
is. Like, we've got Tuvaktuul here. Like, I don't know what Rain's got. But...
I'm just worried if we, by some means, meet the one that actually this crystal belongs to.
Oh, what are the chances of that happening?
Pretty low, I know.
Come on.
You are led by the Modrons through this landing area, and you see that there's already here in the area, there's groups of Modrons and other machines working on object, putting them into places of storage and the likes. And as you come to a sliding door that opens up, you see on the other side of that sliding door, you see a larger machine, which almost looks like a mechanical starfish that looks at your group and starts to make a sound, to which the other Modrons that guide you reply. The starfish goes again and turns around and joins your group as this starfish accompanies you further into the complex. It's basically a mechanical looking starfish that is held up by two mechanical legs, and these starfish, what do you call them, arms, appendages on a starfish? Or do we have any starfish
arms,
experts here? I'm not one.
Appendages
No
sounds
idea.
cool.
Appendages, these starfishy appendages, they are also holding on to a set of lances and a shield, as you are being escorted now
What?
through this perfectly cubical hallway. You follow down that hallway, which eventually leads to another sliding door, which only opens after the Modrons that escort you make another series of beeping noises as it slides open. And the moment it slides open, the Modrons start walking on, but then they suddenly stop mid-movement. All of them. The big starfish version and the small ones that accompanied you. They all stop mid-movement. Like if they're frozen in the air.
Are they broken?
What seems to be the matter?
You ask that, Rebus, and as you ask that, the three little Modrons that accompanied you, they just spin around in one fluid motion, just their upper torsos spin around, turn towards you, and one of them starts to make these beeping sounds to you. You have no clue what they're saying.
Great.
Couldn't Tuvaktuul just like make language right there?
I would appreciate if you would accommodate for my companions who prefer to talk in common.
Smart.
Can you give me a deception check?
I am so good at those. Rebus,
Let's
you
say
know, being-
either deception or persuasion in this case. both angles would work.
Give me that barbarian charisma.
Where are those
Yeah.
cats?
Charlie, come back.
They're equally bad. They're equally bad.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that was terrible. 5.
Oh, shit.
The starfish-shaped Modron now also turns around, and one of its appendages starts standing upright, and you actually see that at the end of the appendage, there's a little opening that now, like, there's this iris-like opening that spirals open, and a face comes out of it that looks at you, and again also makes this
Do not appreciate my guidance being overlooked. We're calling order, but that would go without saying.
While that is happening there, Rain, you have been led by Tuvaktuul over into parts of the warehouse and towards one of these shelves. In the part of the warehouse that you're now in, the shelves are kind of set up in an angular setting, and they start out with large shelves at the wall, and then they become smaller and smaller shelves the further you go into the center of the room. And he has led you to one of the shelves, where you can see that on one of the upper places, there is a little, like, you could actually hold it with both of your hands easily, a little rune-covered piece of machinery that you saw earlier at that large clock machinery in the lobby where the Emerald Claw operative got annihilated by the Modrons. Tuvaktuul looks at it and says, Quintessence Engine.
Yes.
One of the pods that runs the cosmic clock at the center of the plane.
Parts can be
usually-
replaced.
Exactly. And from time to time, they should be.
May I
However-
have this piece?
He turns, they turn towards you, are about to speak, and then you suddenly see that their eyes go completely white.
Yoo-hoo.
Irises return. I have been given information that has me reconsider this approach.
Why?
Would you follow me, individual Rain?
All right. Please remember my compliance later.
I never forget. I was made to never forget.
Ah, but
And
unfortunately you weren't made to smile, but it looks so good on you.
they have their back to you at that point, and they lead you
Uh-oh.
away from the shelves into like a crossroads intersection in this warehouse. And as you're led to that, you see ahead of you there is a sliding door that has opened. And you see that there's a few of these little Modrons, one of these starfish-shaped Modrons there, and beyond them, you see your party standing there, and you can just hear Reba's voice trying to command the Modrons.
I hear the command.
Yeah.
If I hear this being spoken clearly, is it within 30 feet? Can I get a telepathic speech in? Is what I'm asking. You tell me.
I will tell you in
Okay.
a moment.
Aha.
No.
Okay. Then I just kind of cock my head with an eyebrow raised, and I say nothing, just like.
You hear
Appreciated if we could be taken to our destination.
And as you say that, Rebus, you also notice that and the rest of you also see this, as you look past the Modrons and the Starfish Modron, you see Rain there without her disguise, standing next to this gigantic figure made out of marble and gold chains and gears and the likes.
Yeah, Dython like waves over to Rain.
Rain literally just goes like,
The real Tuvaktuul says to you, Rain,
"Hmm,
are these individuals associates of you, individual Rain?
subjective. I have tried to give my compassions and feelings to at least one of them, but it was coldly rejected.
I was about to be so mad that you were like, "What do you mean you're not our friend?" But honestly, of course.
Do they also want to retrieve the imperfect Quintessence Engine?
I would be very curious if they were do something else. I'm not quite sure why they're here.
They have been reported for thievery.
Rain legitimately does not know anything about these
No,
authorization
exactly.
crystals.
I have just received a report from the entrance and registration halls that an authorization crystal I lost has been used to authorize as me.
Back of Rain's mind goes like, oh, fuck. You lost something. Why wasn't it replaced? Shouldn't your system here have, like, made it redundant?
The Tuvaktuul holds out his hand, and apparating into his palm, hovering on his palm, is an authorization crystal. And they say, I had it remade because I lost the former one.
Ah. I think that one is much shinier.
They have still broken the law. Do you know what my duty here is, individual Ray?
To be a gracious host and to be compassionate to those who, you know, might not be so aware, but if they knew a little better, would make concessions. Maybe. And to smile. Your job is certainly to smile.
They step away from you, having their authorization crystal vanish again. I am here as Executor Major of Cosmic Justice. Laws and upholding those is my domain and my task. A crime has been committed impersonating the Executor Major of Justice. Potential penalty, banishment for 3,691 standard years.
Oh dear.
And the Tuvaktuul looks over to the Modrons over at the party. And the Modrons that were mostly frozen, all are facing the party. All in one fluid motion lower their weapons. And I'm going to put us on a little map.
Oh no.
and-
Well, there's no need. I'm sure we can resolve this amicably.
So what was that about, like, only mentioning, like, battle maps when there's a battle?
Yeah, actually.
Wait. I have something for that.
I mean, we
Right.
could just let Rebus talk this through. You know,
Rain had,
it's
Rain had
basically their
one other
plan.
hook, but I think this is either it might bury us further. What I had in mind for Rain.
Wait a second.
Listen, you're putting too much faith on Rebus and on me playing Rebus that I'll be able to dissuade the situation.
Just have to set this up because this is going a little different than I had expected. But that's good. That's good. That's why I play this game with you people.
Ha!
Let's be honest. When has this game ever gone like as you expected?
That is a very fair point. And then we have
By now, I think Marcus is just rolling with that that kind of chaos that we bring to the table.
I
I
live
mean,
for it.
sending us to the plane of order and law and righteousness. Well,
With
righteousness, you know,
stone crystals.
with our party, like
Yeah, stone crystals, grilling, but
Oh,
life.
wow, look at that.
Okay.
This is a large thingy.
So,
He's my friend, right? He's my friend.
I don't think that's your friend.
we are
I
about
think
to find out because I'm going to need initiative from
Oh,
all of
fuck.
you.
But
What's funny is because of the shadows on the map, I can't see the other like token for if there is
Yeah,
one for
me
Tuvaktuul.
neither.
Yeah,
I have no
Yep.
idea.
no, but they're around the corner.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can't see them either.
that makes total sense that you can't see them from where you are.
I also rolled really bad.
So,
It's a
Same.
10 for me.
let's go around. Rebus, what did you get?
10.
Rebus has a 10. Rain, you got a 10 as well?
My dexterity is 0. Is modifier is +0. Rebus?
Minus +2.
Then
Then-
Rebus goes first.
So I go first.
First, so that's Rain. Dythun, what did you get?
Wait. I forgot I have an advantage on these.
Mm-hmm. You sure
It's
do.
literally the same roll. 18.
18. Dythun coming in with
What a
an
waste.
8. And what did Delphine get?
A pretty 7.
A pretty 7.
I
Wow,
rolled a
we're doing
3.
great.
So
All right, let me quickly roll some initiative for your newfound friends.
they all go before us. I feel that.
If they're friends, why do they need initiative?
I spent everything on that last fight.
Yeah.
It sounds very much like a you problem.
Well, I know where
I
the
should have
engine
drank a
is. I can
potion.
fly and have a crystal to get out of here, so I could make it a rain solution and the rest of your problem.
I have potions of healing. Why did-
Then that would make
Why
us a
did I
very
not-
much us prop.
I had perfectly fine potions of healing that I could have, drunk at any point before we entered initiative, and it would have been fine.
Hindsight is a bitch, isn't it?
Marcus, your
okay.
hair looks
Oh,
really
I
nice today.
appreciate you too,
Thank you.
Marcus. You're just.
Is Marcus bitch slapping us today? Like very hard?
I guess he finally lost it. We finally pushed him over the edge. It's
Please,
Well-
if a
Hell.
character dies,
Who-
just leave them there.
Who you might have pushed over the edge are certain combatants here as we start round 1 of our little fight. And top of the initiative is Tuvaktuul. And
of course they are.
Tuvaktuul is standing there and looks at Rain and just shifts their arms into this position and ends their turn. And that brings us to one of the little friendos down here, one of these little tri-drones, who is going to make attacks. against Rebus. A javelin attack against Rebus. But I'm pretty sure a 9 does not hit.
No, it doesn't.
But it makes a second attack. And I'm pretty sure a 12 also doesn't hit.
No.
It makes a third attack.
What? Excuse
And I'm
me?
pretty sure a 7 also doesn't hit. So you basically see this
Really?
little
We're fine.
almost D4 shaped robot go but missing you with every strike of the javelin. That ends their turn and brings us to Delphine. Delphine, what would you like to do?
Don't forget to unpause the game so Delphine can
Oh,
move.
I am so sorry.
Oh yeah.
Wait. There, now you can move.
Yay, thank you. Oh boy. Let me check my spells. What do I want to do? I have a feeling.
You already wasted a fireball before.
I got plenty of those. I honestly think as many attacks as these things get, I kind of want to get them out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
It won't let, oh, I'm on the ruler. That's why it won't let me move. Hello. There we go. I want to attack this
New
little
program.
this little dude in front of me. How do I, that one?
Gotcha.
I'm going to, I think he's going to pull out his longsword. So he's going to, like, sword and shield for this.
Perfect.
Da-da-da-da. Ooh. Math, 23.
That hits.
Perfect.
Oh, you have to say math before you give the total, and then it'll hit. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Not one.
It-
Math.
There's order. There's order. 6 points of damage.
6 points of damage to that mechanical friendo.
Mm-hmm.
And a few of these gears fly out of it as your blade digs into the bronze and brass plating.
Perfect. Second strike. That's also very good. 21
Yeah, that hits.
for 4 points of damage.
4. And another blow dings into the steel.
I don't like any of this. Actually, this is no fun. No fun. Just raising the shield, ready for what he assumes is a counterattack.
Gotcha. All right. That's
And
your
you're
turn?
right there in the middle of everything. Just.
Yep.
Mm.
That's what I'm here for.
The large pentadrone is up. This starfish-esque machinery as it starts spreading out its appendages. And in the center of its body, another iris opens and a stream of gas comes out of it. Just a going past the machines it's accompanied by, which seem to be unaffected by what's ever happening. But I need Delphine, Rebus, and Delphine to make a Constitution saving throw.
Is this poison? Or
It's probably something like fire
Magical
damage or
sleep.
any.
It
because Rebus doesn't breathe.
is a gas.
Is this
I would-
magical sleep?
I would say that considering Rebus' nature, I would say in this circumstance that they would have advantage on the Constitution saving throw.
Great, I'll take that.
I
It's
don't
not
know.
bad.
Typhoon, what did you get?
12.
12. Rebus, what did you get?
24.
24. Delphine.
Ooh.
You, Typhoon and Rebus, as this gas comes to you, Typhoon, you notice it flowing into you, into your lungs, and you feel yourself getting lethargic and slower, but you shake it off. And Rebus, you also you notice that there's something in between your gears and all the open spaces in your body, but it's not affecting you. However, behind you, you can hear Delphine, who is just lets out one last cough and then just goes stiff in her position. Delphine, you are considered paralyzed.
Oh, okay. That was one of this.
That means that you are also considered incapacitated. You cannot move or speak, and you automatically fail strength and dexterity saves. Attacks against you have advantage, and any attack that hits the creature is a critical hit if it hits the attacker if the attacker is within 5 feet of you. That does end the Pentadrone's turn and brings us to the drone that was just attacked by Typhoon. And it would like to have a word with Typhoon in the shape of attacking him with its javelin. So here we go.
My preferred language.
An 8 doesn't hit.
Nope.
Does a 16 hit?
Nope.
Third attack. That's a natural 20.
Oops.
Fuck.
That, funny enough, doesn't hit. Weird. Strange, that one.
Very weird. Very weird.
Oh, hell.
That is a total of 10 piercing damage to Typhoon.
Lovely.
And that, however, also ends that drone's turn and brings us to Rebus with Rain on deck.
Alright, well. I really didn't come to this, and I don't see much logic in this situation. But I cannot let you hurt my friends, and I will rage.
Nice.
For the form of the beast with the bite attack. And I will attack the drone immediately in front of me.
Go ahead and bite.
Well, no, I'll do it with my javelin, but my posture shifts and the rows of teeth grow out of the shattered face plates.
Gotcha.
Okay. Attack number 1, very, very low. A 10.
That does not hit.
Attack number 2. It's still really bad. God damn it. A 12.
Unfortunately, also, that is not enough to get to pierce through the armor of the Tri-Drone.
That is fine. I've rolled like a 3 and a 5 or something like that. It's ridiculous. It's fine.
But you are raging, and you're certainly giving them a show. Anything else on your turn? That was bonus action, that was action. Would you still like to move?
No, I'd like to protect my friends. I can't really get Typhoon out of there, so... I don't think I can make us switch places.
Nope.
Yeah, but it's fine.
Gotcha.
I'll stay where I am.
That ends Reba's turn and brings us to Rain, who is a little bit further to the north, at a literal crossroads.
For my action, talk.
Mm-hmm.
I see the back of the starfish and I see the usual attacks happening, and I'm like, Okay, now they're just defending themselves. You can't really blame them for that, Tuvaktuul. But if you said that you are the arbiter of all things just and rules and laws, you caught me doing something naughty, but we were discussing it. What's the difference now? You were even smiling. And it seemed like we had a bit of an understanding. I mean, I could share what we would all have to gain after doing it, like, you know, a more of a talking thing. And it's really strange coming from me because I normally, that's fun too, but
As your action, make
Yeah.
a persuasion check, please.
there's no cats on the screen. Oh, dirty 20.
Dirty 20. You say all of that while you're like, you're basically like standing in the middle of this collection of shelves while your friends are fighting with machines, and you're making this case here, and Tuvaktuul just stands there, listening, pondering. Would you like to use your bonus action for something?
Oh, all that talking made me really thirsty. One moment. I'll pull out a healing potion.
And you drink the healing potion for
Yeah.
yourself as a
Yes.
bonus action?
If that is our house rule, so 2d4
Exactly.
plus 2. Numbers went everywhere. That is a 3 plus 2, total 5 healing. Healing is healing.
5 hit points are 5 hit points.
For my movement, I am still at the crossroads. Just for emphasis, and had chains. As I'm talking, I'm gonna also just walk towards him, towards them, and my arms are literally out like this. I'm making. Rain and Ida were not making any motions to appear hostile. You were just kind of like. I
Gotcha.
mean, you didn't nab me. What changed?
Perfect. Anything else on your turn?
Nope. Action, bonus, action, movement. That's end my turn, please.
And that brings us to Delphine, who is currently paralyzed and thus incapacitated, which means that you cannot use any actions, movement, or reactions, which usually means that there's not much that you can do on your turn. However,
Can I do a save?
at the end of your turn, you can make another Constitution saving throw.
Good, I do that.
Please make it.
5. I'm just waiting for the 1. It's going down
You-
today.
You
No.
remain frozen in place. This gas you inhaled keeps you stuck in your position.
I am a beautiful statue.
That you certainly are. That ends your turn, however, and leaves us with the one remaining Tri-Drone, who is going to do something, and is actually going to hold its ground and is going to attack Dythun. Javelin attacks, incoming. Does a 22 hit?
Yeah, I'll save that. That'll hit.
That will hit, and that goes in for, I'm sorry, 8 points of damage.
I'll take it.
Then that's a second attack coming. Does an 18 hit?
Yes.
That is 5 points of damage.
Advantage for Sariel Ribes.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that, Slothinator. And there's a
Thank
third
you,
attack
Twinkle.
coming, but I'm pretty sure a 7 does not hit.
No.
That ends this drone's turn and brings us back to the top of the round, which is top of the round means Tuvaktuul. who has been spoken to by Rain, still holding their position, and decides pick a position over here, keep their position, and just looking at the combat unfolding ahead of them. And that's their turn. That leads us to one of the drones, which is the drone right to the north of Rebus, and that drone is going to make some attacks against Rebus. But I'm pretty sure a 9 doesn't hit. A 12 also doesn't hit.
No.
And a 9 also doesn't hit. So
No.
those are,
Okay, good.
again, just like in the first round, this drone, it might want to have people look into recalibrating its aiming mechanics or something, but it's just unable to hit the Raging Barbarian at this point. Which leads us to someone who's pretty close to that drone, at least physically close to the drone, and that's Delphine, who is actually physically close to 3 drones. Delphine, what would you like to do?
So, Delphine has got a bonus action. Second wind.
Second wind.
And I rolled the d10. It's a 10 plus 5, so I get 15 back.
Nice.
That's very good.
Yes.
All right. I'm then going to attack. I'm gonna send 2 attacks for the one in front of Rebus.
Perfect. Why?
Still with the longsword.
Yes.
14. Does that hit?
No, that does not hit, unfortunately.
Why can't we hit this one? Okay, maybe. That's a 21.
Oh, yeah, that hits.
Okay. And I'm going to put superiority dice on this one for... Actually, no, I won't. I'm going to save that one. Just kidding.
Haha.
Regular attack. Oh, it's a 6. Yay. 8. Wait, I rolled a wrong one. I rolled a d6, not a d8. What's wrong with me?
Roll a d8. Got that sweet, sweet damage.
That's an 8.
Wow,
Even
nice.
better.
Yes!
It's a 10.
Let's go!
Yay.
Total of 10 to the one that is next to Rebus. Wow, nice. And that's only one of your attacks, right?
No, the first one missed.
Oh, yeah, the first one missed, yeah. But that second one, like,
So-
shking, there's sparks flying off as you take out a big chunk out of this machine that actually, all of these tri-drones, like, keep repeating, like, surrender, surrender, surrender. And as you hit this one, there's actually, like, the surrender before it continues speaking.
You surrender. Stop hitting you if you stop hitting me.
Anything else on your turn? That was your
No.
bonus action? That was your action?
That's all I got.
That's all you got. That leads us to the big Pentadrone, which is going to spend some extra movement to squeeze over here. And it's going to make the first of its 5 attacks against Delphine.
Wonderful. Bring it.
And I
That's a
think the
natural
party-
20.
Bring it.
No, it isn't!
I am so sorry.
I don't see this in my range.
Oh,
And this is the
darn.
first time the party now sees Tuvaktuul.
Yeah.
That's 9 points of bludgeoning damage, Delphine.
Is that with the critical?
Yeah, that's
Oh, okay.
Alright.
Wonderful.
second attack against Delphine. It's a total of 23.
Oh, fuck.
Damn it. All right. Yeah. Go for it.
Just use your shield, man.
That's 7 points of bludgeoning
I'm
damage.
trying.
There's the third attack coming.
All right.
9 doesn't hit.
No.
Fourth attack. 12 doesn't hit.
Nope.
Fifth attack. Pretty sure a 15 doesn't hit, right?
Nope.
Okay, so
Fine.
this starfish-shaped drone is just smacking you with all of its appendages, and the final one is actually one where the face popped out, and that face has contorted into just a screaming face that comes like "Ah!" at you as it's being slammed towards you
It's like
before it retracts again. And
Is it like a mask? Like, is it like a mechanical face, like a puppet kind of face, or is it like
Yup.
Okay.
it's a puppet kind of face, yeah.
Mm.
And that fortunately ends its turn and brings us to Tridrone number 2, which is also going to try to hit Delphine.
Yep.
A 9 doesn't hit.
Nope.
A 13 doesn't hit.
Nope.
I'm gonna try a different d20.
No, use that one. It's fine.
A 13 does not hit. So also these
see?
3 attacks are parried masterfully by our
I'm fine.
Leonin
Famous last
fighter.
words.
And that does bring us to Rebus.
Finally. I'm actually going to use the digital die now because my dice hate me today. So at least I
And
can't.
don't forget,
computer
you
does
do
it.
have advantage. You have a dose of that.
Yes. I'll start using the advantage. I could use reckless, but I also don't want my AC to go lower, since that's saved my ass before. So
Let's try and attack this drone. With advantage. Oh, that's actually pretty good. So, but I already said I would use it. So
Yep.
yeah, no, okay. 24 to hit.
That certainly
Didn't
hits.
get a natural 20. But, okay. Time for some smashing damage. Oh, that's so bad. Alright. 8 points. 8 points of slashing damage.
Did you add your rage damage to that?
I did this time, yes.
And this is with your glaive, right?
Yeah.
You bring the glaive down, and as you do, it goes shooting through the drone. You cut it open, and while it was saying like surrender, surrender, and
At least I come up with different phrases to say. I'm not that boring.
you have cut a Tridrone to pieces.
I will do that to the next one. Move over there. Second attack. Not that great. 14.
That's the one right above you now?
Yes.
That does not hit.
Sad. Well, that is all then.
That is your turn, and that brings us to Rain.
I see you measuring things on the map. I see what you're doing.
No. I was just curious. Don't worry about it.
That was me measuring, but
Oh, I also was measuring things.
walk in front of Tuvaktuul,
Mhm.
and again I try to engage him. I mean,
Tuvaktuul's token is so cool.
Yes.
there's audacity. Hi. And now you're just letting this go a little bit far. We are talking. We've come to some sort of mutual understanding, you and I. Have you had this fun of a discussion with anyone else here recently?
The face turns towards you. Allow me to further witness this. The performance so far is impressive. The hat snaps back and looks back at the party.
I look over my shoulder hard and just like, that's my movement. Bonus action. I said the talking was my action. That's it. That's all. That's what I got.
Mm-hmm.
As Tuvaktuul says, he wants to witness more. Was the stance any further aggressive? Do I see weapons on this person, on this entity?
They don't have any weapons on them. The impression you get from everything Tuvaktuul has been doing so far is that they're just spectating. They're just keeping an eye on what's happening.
Sure. Okay, that's Rain's turn.
All right. That brings us then to Delphine, who is unfortunately still incapacitated, stunned, but at the end of your turn, you get another chance at saving yourself.
Maybe I should change the die.
You haven't already?
Fingers crossed for Delphine. Let's do this.
Everyone change dice.
Oh, that's much better. That's 17.
At the end of your turn, you break free from the effect. You are no longer a statue and have the effects of this gas, the pentadrone fired on you, have evaporated, just like the gas itself. But that was already the end of your turn in that case. So that ends your turn.
It's okay.
And that brings us to the final drone, the one that Rebus was attacking. It's going to attack Rebus. Here we go. Attack number 1. Does a 15 hit.
No.
Second attack. An 8 surely doesn't hit. Does an 18 hit?
Yes, that does hit.
That is a total of 4 points of slashing damage, but you're raging, so you're halving that to 2 points of damage.
That's fine.
And that brings us to the end of round 2, as we are facing off here in a warehouse on the plane of Donvi. Before we see how this continues, let's take a little mid-combat break. Let's take a few drinks and see how this continues. We will be back in approximately 10 minutes, so make sure to stretch your legs, get some drinks, see if you're complying to all the laws of the plane you're on, and we'll be back in 10. See you then.
Anarchy!
And we are back after a little break to restore some energies. We are ready to continue a little martial competition the party is having with the local residents of the Plane of Perfect Order. Nothing special, just fighting against a few robots. But before we go back to those robots, if you like to watch us battle against Modrons and machines and enjoy the stuff that you're seeing here on this stream, we would be honored to see you also on our Discord, which you can find below the video here, or keep track of what we're doing via our Twitter account. Link also below, where you find all the announcements for all the stuff we do, any kind of special events we have going on, and other nice things that we like to amplify their voices of. If you are joining us here now on episode 35 of this campaign, and you would gladly want to check out what we did in the previous 34 sessions, you can find our VODs of this campaign and every other game we had on this channel so far on our YouTube channel, which can be found at youtube.com/Horde of Tales. Awesome. Now, with that out of the way, let us get back into the heat of battle. We are at the top of round 3. And that means that Tuvaktuul, the entity here that has been staring at this competition, is looking at these Modrons. And at that point, they raise one of their hands. And you see the remaining 2 Tri-Drones. Their frame starts shifting. And
Hey,
almost
that's my
very similar to how Rebus shifts plates when they start raging. These Tri-Drones open segments of their body, blades and gears come out of it, an additional set of weapons, and there's actually these little red lights that start going on now as Tuvaktuul just has their hands stretched out and ends their turn.
So much for observing Tuvaktuul.
Copycat.
And that brings us to actually one of these drones, which is actually, oh, that drone has already been pulverized, so that drone can't do anything. Which brings us to Delphine's turn. Delphine, you're now standing in front of 2 of these Tri-Drones, which have now basically enabled some kind of killer mode with additional weaponry coming out of their body, and you're standing right in front of them. What would you like to do?
I guess like a quick question. It doesn't look like they healed any of the damage when they did that, right?
No, you don't see
Okay.
like, it doesn't look like, you can still see like where you cut already, where you penetrated the armor. It just looks like they have enabled some extra options.
It's just to be like, I can do that too. Just like put the long sword away, pull out the great sword. I'm gonna attack the one in front of me. The little
Perfect.
Tri-Drone right there.
Let's go! Yes!
Oh, that's good. Where's my great? Where is it? Math. 16.
16, that is just enough to hit.
Perfect. Okay. Big dice. Big dice.
Big dice.
That's 9 points of damage.
Your greatsword cuts in there, and you cut through one of those segments that has folded out, like some set of extra arms with like saw blades at it. You cut that away through the opening into the Tri-Drone, and you just hear this as the Tri-Drone ahead of you crumbles to the ground.
Right. Onto the other one. And attack the Tri-Drone next to it.
There we
Second
go.
attack.
Swing away.
Oh, it's on a corner. Actually, same. 16.
That hits.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Not as good. 5 points of damage.
5 points of damage is 5 points of damage, as we like to say around these parts.
Yep.
And anything else on your turn?
Potions are bonus action, right?
Yes. If you drink them for yourself, they're a bonus action. If you give them to someone else, they're an action.
I'm
neat-
going to take a greater healing potion.
Chuck away.
Do they prompt an opportunity attack though?
No. In 5th edition, drinking a potion does not trigger an opportunity attack. I know that in older editions
That's
it
good to
did,
know.
and other games also do that, but in 5th edition it doesn't.
All right, I will roll that as I end my turn.
All right. That ends your turn and brings us to the Pentadrone, which is
Just rolled almost max healing on that. What is happening?
nice. You might need
go.
that because the pentadrone is stepping closer.
I just rolled 17.
And the pentadrone is going to start its attacks against Dythun.
Wonderful.
A 14 does not hit.
Nope.
Does a 20 hit?
I'm gonna finally use shield.
Yes.
As you throw that up,
God.
It wouldn't have made a difference until now.
nice. So that second appendage goes like and clatters against that shield, which, if I'm not mistaken, that increased armor class is not just against that attack. That actually
It's until my next turn.
exactly. So keep that in mind because there's a third attack coming for you.
Bring it.
No, 14 is not going to hit.
Nope.
It's going to use its fourth attack against Rebus.
Hey, that's not fun.
That is a 23
Ouch. Yeah, that hits.
for 3 points of bludgeoning, halved because you're raging to 1 point of bludgeoning. And the fifth attack also against you, Rebus. 12, that shouldn't hit. So that was a lot of flailing for that. And ends its turn, which brings us, since that Tridone has just been killed, brings us to Rebus with Rain on deck. Rebus, what would you like to do?
Alright. Let's parry. Well, let's take care of this one drone first. So. Wow. Natural one. For my strength attack. That's great.
You still have another attack?
Yes, I will use it. I just stumbled. Okay. 25.
That certainly hits.
For 7 points of damage.
7 points of damage, which lops off also parts of this enhanced creature, but while there's like electricity like skittering all over it, it's still standing and you still hear like a warped surrender coming from it.
You are unbearable. And I'll like step back a moment, and actually drink a healing potion because.
Yep, if you drink it yourself,
have
it's a
one,
bonus action.
so-
It's one of my favorite house rules.
Alright, let me roll that. And that will be my turn.
All right, that brings us to Rain.
Trying to persuade this person. I'm gonna hold my arm up and I'm going to cast Minor Illusion of the bust of Tuvaktuul, like shoulders and head up.
Mm-hmm.
And the bust, in this Minor Illusion, you see Tuvaktuul's face with no mouth, completely solid marble, perfectly unbroken and chiseled. I mean, if you're here, that means you have to be perfect. But, and I make the Minor Illusion break the face, cracking to make that smile. But you do this. Are you saying that's not perfect? Because I saw someone that, I can't admit this often, but kind of enjoyed the show. I like those people. Right?
Persuasion or performance check, please.
I'm really trying to persuade here. Come on. No, it's no good. 8 plus 6 is 15.
Is there anything else you would like to do in your turn?
was my action? What is an action? I don't really. Bonus action. Telepathic mind with. I see Rebus raging. I know that Rebus is not very easy to talk to when raging. So I'll connect again with Dyson, and Dyson will hear in his mind. So, which one of you pretended to be the tea guy here?
Can I like respond as part of her action?
No.
Okay.
No, this is just for fluff, but I've established a line of communication.
Right.
For my movement, I'm going to stay where I am, but I just want to make it clear that no, I remain. That's my turn. That's my turn.
Cool. At the end of your turn, could you give me a charisma saving throw, please?
Yeah. I drop the dice down my sleeve and start. Okay. Please roll big. Oh yes, that is a math 26.
It works.
A 26.
I have a +7 charisma save.
At the end of your turn, you see that you were doing this little thing with Tuvaktuul and the little illusion that starts going off of their face, and they look at you, and you see their eyes glow as you sense that there's a spell being thrown at you that is trying to pull you away. But you shake the spell off. But you have the impression that there was some powerful magic being projected at you that you just shook off. And it actually
Brown.
You see Tuvaktuul actually at the realization that their spell isn't working, lean back and just look at you. But that was at the end of your turn. That brings us to
forward. Just
Delphine. It's your turn.
Ooh, cool. How do the two robots in front of Rebus and Typhoon look like?
So the little one
Yeah.
looks very rough, but the
Okay.
big one is undamaged at this point.
What is Typhoon doing?
Fighting for his life.
Okay. I'm moving
Trying his best, okay?
over.
Don't shame Daithu.
I shame him all day long. I'm moving over
I'm used to
here.
it by now.
Yeah. I'm moving over here, and I will do one attack with the magical rapier.
Nice.
Okay, this thing is totally undamaged, so
Yeah.
let's see.
How about we change that?
Yeah, how about we change that? I'm cast. Yeah, I'm as a bonus action. I cast Thunderous Smite on my rapier.
Perfect.
This will be a little bit loud, but it's okay. We can work that out. And then I'm going to do the first attack. So let's see. Clickety clacky, I roll to attack you. Oh, that's actually not bad.
It worked.
Maths. 26.
And again, you said math, and it hits. So,
Magic.
Yeah. Okay. Damage. What is this? I need d6, I need the 1d8, 2d6.
Oh, this is the knock prone one thing, right?
Yeah, maybe.
The thunderous smite thing, yeah.
So as piercing damage, it gets 11 points of piercing and 3 points of thunder damage, and it needs to make a strength save.
A strength saving throw as
Yes.
all of you hear a loud booming sound. Strength. That's a total of 20.
Fuck. It made it, so it's yeah. Okay, another attack. That's not that good, but does 20 hit and not
That
natural one.
hits.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, the normal rapier, which is not that good. It's 10 points of damage, and then it's magical damage.
Mhm.
The thunder damage, it's 9 points of thunder damage, and then another strength save, please.
Another strength save. That's a total of 13.
Just made it.
Ding! And the starfish-shaped robot holds the position.
At least it got some damage, so happy about that.
It is.
Okay, that's my turn.
With your 2 attacks here, you have like really scraped up parts of the plating, parts of the wiring of this machine is hanging out. This was a very good turn against this creature. And that is your turn, Delphine. Perfect. That brings us to a remaining Tridrone that has engaged some special fighting mode and is going to use that against Rebus. First attack coming against Rebus. That is a 9 and doesn't hit. Second attack coming against Rebus. That is a 5 and doesn't hit. Third attack coming against Rebus. Pretty sure a 15 doesn't hit.
No, it doesn't.
And
Get wrecked.
this Tridrone, as it's just, this is another round that it's just missing its swings against Raging Rebus. It is going to, it's going to fall back. Gonna move over here. Dythun and Rebus can both take opportunity attacks if they want to.
Yes, please.
Where do you think you're going?
I'm pretty sure a 19 hits.
Yaha, that hits.
17
Okay,
for
great.
me.
And that also hits. Roll damage, both of you.
That's only 6 for me.
14.
What?
14 points of slashing damage.
The combined force of Rebus and Dythun just annihilates this Tridrone as it is torn apart on its attempt to flee and is no longer. And that brings us to the top of the round and yet again to Tuvaktuul, who sees all of this happening and had their hand raised, had attempted to cast something on Rain, and now looks around, sees the Pentadrone, and raises both of their hands. And the Pentadrone goes limp. No longer moving. And Tuvaktuul says, sheath your weapons and step forward. We are no longer in initiative. What would you like to do?
Dython immediately like puts the greatsword back on his back and like walks to Revis. Like, okay, calm down now. It's okay. We're not fighting anymore.
You see me try attempt to like drop the glaive as if the arm that was holding it kind of works on its own, but I still lunge towards the drone with a bite attack.
Yeah, nope. Down.
I'll actually kneel and like try to force my body out of the rage. I don't know how successful I am, but
You are focusing on slowly calming down, which will take a bit of time as you are helped in a way by Dythun doing this. What does the rest of you do while combat has ceased?
I'm not putting away my rapier.
Right?
Staying safely behind these bookcases, bookshelves, because or whatever is stored in there, and basically, hopefully, have a chance to peek through them.
There is
So, like
you have
investigating what's going on.
You can, now that you're no longer focusing on trying to fend off enemies, you can peek like through holes and openings in these shelves, and you can see through them. You see outlines of a massive figure standing beyond them, and you also see and are of course aware of the fact that rain is also in that direction. On the shelves themselves are assorted items of various sizes, various kinds, all neatly put into a place, and apparently also labeled in a language that you do not understand.
So is Reapers able to force themselves out of the rage?
After a bit of focusing on calming down, and also with Dythun making it very clear that it's no longer the time for this, Rebus, you slowly feel your plates shifting back and the light in your head fading away from a red color to the typical pale light. Tuvaktuul turns towards all of you. It seems that you are as audacious as the individual Rain in your approach.
Oh, not nearly.
She inspires us.
Listen, we didn't attack first.
Right at her level.
You did not attack first, but you did play a role in the impersonation of a leader in this plane's hierarchy.
Did we?
I am Tuvaktuul.
God damn it.
I apologize for our small, distraction. We have a mission to complete, and it was the quickest and safest way to do so. I apologize.
Tuvaktuul steps closer into your direction, Rebus. And is now just a few inches away, towering over you, this tall form of marble and machine. Looks at you. You were created, not born.
That's correct, yeah.
Are you a native of this plane?
I don't believe so. There are others like me where I come from, and we are all just in one way or another manufactured. But I am afraid I'm not a very reliable source of information. I am missing part of my own history, so I could be wrong.
You forgot. Your memory is lost. Is it your function to remember?
I think up to a point, it is expected of me. I don't know if it's my primary function, but then again, I've been not really. I don't know what that would be. It's complicated to explain.
Tuvaktuul turns to everyone else. Would any of you think their function is merely to remember? I do not think so. My experiences with your species, your models, is that there is a certain complexity in your existence. One that is not to be found in inhabitants of Danvi. And that complexity is translated into any interactions with your species.
Okay, listen. As you said, Rebus was created. So they normally would have something like a chip or something. I don't know really much about the Warforged, but anyway. So he will be that person in this group what basically will remember everything.
And yet, they do not.
Yeah, because they're missing stuff.
The irony of the situation is not lost on me. I must admit I have felt quite at home here, but also I have become aware of all the different ways in which I am different from the beings of this plane.
And you have offended laws of this plane.
Yes, I regret that.
As an
Sadly.
inevitable of law, it is my duty to make sure that justice is upheld here. Justice, just like your existences, is a complicated and many-faceted concept. Individual Rain here has already told me that your transgressions are to acquire an object, specifically the Quintessence Engine. So it is that you desire. And I desire
Yes,
to perform my
those are-
function.
Well, you know, justice is a word that can mean so many things depending on who things they are in charge of bringing justice.
Delphine, can you give me a charisma saving throw?
Fuck.
Is a spell happening?
Is
Spoke too much.
yes.
There is a magical effect happening.
Is this a charm?
It is not a charm.
But if it's a spell and I'm seeing this, I want to
Do you now?
try to
Do
can.
you?
Do you want to interfere with this?
It's my last thing. I'm useless if. You know what? I have faith in Delphine's dice, in Caro's dice.
Okay, you have more faith in my dice than I have. So we're ending up with a 17.
As you say these things of how relative justice is, you see Tuvaktuul looking at you, and their eyes briefly glaze over, and then they say, "Were your illegitimate raids on other sailing vessels a form of justice?"
Depends who looks on it. I mean, the people who requested this probably saw this as just enough. For me, it was basically just a job.
Many died in those. Do you think their families considered those raids justice?
Depends on who looks at it.
Would you blame them if they still sought justice for them?
Guess not.
Guess not. Guess not.
If your Modrons had killed us, would our families see what you did as justice?
Now, you are following my train of thought in the complexity of my task. You do not simply fall into a place like Danvi. You have gone through some preparations, acquired authorization crystals. One does not go through these lengths to just acquire something for something so casual. A Quintessence Engine is a specific object. What is it you plan to do with it?
Like I said, challenge understanding, challenge established wisdom, make breakthroughs.
Will they be just?
They are beyond justice.
Nothing is beyond justice.
I think
It
it
doesn't
doesn't even
exist yet.
count to either justice or if it's unjust.
The outcome is completely unknown. There is no known
Fact.
effect. How can one apply whether it is or isn't just? There are certainly, even where we're from, no laws against what we plan to do with this item.
I mean, we are not planning to do anything with it.
Tuvaktuul is just taking in all of that.
So is Dython. She's like,
So you see, we don't even need the wool item. Did that guy say we need a wool thing?
The Quintessence Engine is considered one object. There are multiple components in it.
Yeah, see?
Which are replaceable.
I find this intrusion.
Yeah, what exactly did we need?
The
That.
the Quintessence
If you need to
Engine, that
something-
object.
Entirely, right?
We don't. Delphine
Or did
is being wishy-washy about it.
Yeah. Even
okay.
in the contract that you signed, there's not like a specific thing of the entirety of the Quintessence
Yeah,
Engine.
exactly.
In the contract is the Quintessence Engine, so it's kind of a bit of
So
a
if you're taking a part or a piece of it from it that is infused with the something from the plane,
Yep.
that should be okay.
Then that's not the Quintessence Engine. That's semantics for.
But
different
this goes this goes much further in like, okay, what is actually the Quintessence Engine?
Mhm.
So if it's something inside the object, if it's a wool object, yada yada.
Your disturbance is a most puzzling thing. Danvi is not used to these intrusions. But I find this fascinating. And you do have a point that if what you say is true, there is no way in knowing if this will be used for justice. That leaves the question if it is true what you say. And at that point, I need all of you to make a charisma saving throw, please.
Oh, is it again the same thingy?
Should I roll this dice? It's been rolling really well. Okay.
Fuck me.
Please don't let me down, pretty dice. It's so pretty and shiny. Yes. That is Can't. Math. 25. There we go.
The magic word, math. 25 for Rain. What did the rest get?
10.
10 for Delphine.
Math 19.
That should be in a shirt.
Math.
Math.
Yeah, I got a natural 20, but
Yay!
that's a 19 for Rebus.
You all sense that there's a ripple going through the room. And except for Rain, all of you are aware of the fact that from this point on, you
Ah,
can only speak the truth.
Oh, hey, that's my fate.
It's not like I was going to lie anyway.
Tuvaktuul says, are you acquiring or seeking to acquire the Quintessence Engine for an entity from a different plane?
Yeah, that's correct.
to find different? Different from our own or yours?
I guess it's from theirs.
A fair distinction. Different from your plane.
Not
No,
to my knowledge.
No.
no.
Are you hiding something, Tuvaktuul?
Have you been tasked to acquire this by another inevitable?
Not to our knowledge.
Do I know that?
No.
Not that we
No.
know.
Pretty sure not.
I'm pretty sure that that person might be just A very wealthy random guy.
Will the person for whom you acquire this utilize the Quintessence Engine in any way to upset a law of nature, such as gravity, time, death?
We sadly don't know.
But it would be interesting.
I don't think
We were hoping to
so.
get more answers.
Can at this point everyone roll an insight check?
Alright at
Don't
those.
those rules get broken on
Oh.
a daily basis, even in Danvi?
Dirty 20.
19.
19,
Nat's 20
32.
for a 23.
Ooh.
Most of you get the impression that Tuvaktuul is surprised by the answers and maybe even has a hint of annoyance. There's another question coming from them. Will this patron of yours utilize the Quintessence Engine in a way that will disturb the stability and natural composition of the planes?
Hell if I know.
We don't know. We weren't given any details.
I think at this point, by getting all these questions that we can't answer because we just don't know, it would be easier if we are just looking into our minds to see what actually happened. I mean, you already did it, so.
I mean, there's enough happening already. Planes are already being threatened. Why are, if that is a concern of yours and you remain here, is that just? Shouldn't you be out there correcting those infractions that are happening? I know my
should.
people certainly are spending generations on that very issue.
Tuvaktuul turns their back to all of you, strides over to one of the shelves, and comes back within their massive hand the Quintessence Engine that you saw earlier. They look at Rain. You raise a valid point, as have all of you so far. I do not doubt the honesty of your word, and I apologize for intrusions into the mind. It is a tool I do not want to use too much.
Oh, I know someone who likes to do this a lot.
Yeah,
Looking at Rain.
honestly, like, that's not anything new for us.
We're used to it by now.
As you said, it seemed just.
They look at the engine. There is a disturbance in the planes.
Well,
Yet I am duty-bound to not leave Danvi.
that's a shame.
It is my duty. I do not know shame.
But
You,
we also know that you clearly have flexibility regarding your duty and how you exactly go about your purpose.
in certain limits. Those duties might, however, be expanded, should it be given proof of their necessity. they float, they make the Quintessence Engine float up over their hand, and it starts spinning on its own axis. The Quintessence Engine is an object that can be rebuilt and replaced. It is not unique. This one is damaged, and I doubt that anyone on your plane of existence has the knowledge of making it functional.
That'd be a hoot.
For many of your origin, this would be nothing but exotic decoration. However, there is a slim, almost non-existent chance that given its proper place in a convergence of multiple planes, the Quintessence Engine, even a damaged one, can fulfill its purpose. That is dangerous.
What exactly is its purpose?
It is both fuel and equilibrium in a very careful balance. In the cosmic clock, we use it as a very accurate way of measuring the distance between the various planes. I can hardly imagine what people of your origins would want to use it for. So I can give it to you under conditions.
Oh?
My gaze shall remain upon the engine. I will know where it is. I will know how it is used. And I will know who has supported its use. Should it be used in unjust ways to destabilize what should not be destabilized, to pervert the meanings of justice, and to bring unnecessary harm to those who do not deserve it, I will know I gave it to you. And I will find you.
Subjective?
Seems fair. We have grappled with this issue before ourselves. This is not the first object we have been asked to retrieve, and even though it is not our place to wander, the mind likes to think. So we were not paid to judge the righteousness of this mission. But some of us are, however, still taken aback by the ramifications that could ensue. It seems only fair that we are made responsible. Even if the decision isn't ours of how these objects are to be used.
Delphine will step forward and just say, like, well, I don't know how any of this works, so I'm the least likely to make it do something bad. So if you want to, I'll take it from you if you're giving it to us.
If you take this object, you all agree to this binding oath. Let it be known that should you be involved, should your delivery make unjust things possible, fueled by this Quintessence Engine, having an inevitable trying to find you be equal to a death sentence.
Oh, that's
I
why
marked
you're
that on
called
my list.
inevitable. That makes sense now.
Nothing is guaranteed, Tuvaktuul. Whether this leads to injustice, whether you finding us is the end of us. There's complexities. There's back and forth. Even dangerous situations can be made safe again. The knowledge that is gained from taking risks can lead to the establishment of justice in ways that weren't forged before. Can lead to interesting combinations. And at first, all those brand new things with dangerous origins are shunned upon. They're cast out, they're misunderstood. They're seen as evil and unjust. In reality, they're just trying to find a place in the world. There's room for everything.
There is. But in the end, I will be the judge of what there is room for. Such is my duty. Such is my purpose.
Oh my god, don't ever talk to my parents.
I turn to my companions and just see what they think of the deal.
Dythin's still like,
I guess it's okay.
yeah.
I
why not?
mean, what's the worst that can happen?
I've had people coming to kill me before. What's new?
Yeah, see?
Just kind of looking up and down, thinking like,
He's a great guy.
I could take him. Don't say it, but just thinking it.
The Quintessence Engine floats down towards the party, and it's not large or anything. Any one of you can like hold it with two hands. This strange cylinder with strange markings on it, glowing with a bit of golden light. You shall leave the plane as soon as possible,
Yes.
though not with the authorization crystals that you were given. And you now see that
mine is already gone. They took it in.
you see that Tuvaktuul opens their palm again, and there's a handful of authorization crystals in there, which look very familiar to all of you.
Ah,
All of your crystals that you had are gone.
Did he also snatch the one that I stole? What the fuck? He's no fun.
You shall be ejected by my hand.
If it makes it any better, I don't ever want to come back. Honestly. I mean, you're great and all, but like...
and if you ever want to actually do something concrete about planar incursions, if you want to actually make applications to justice instead of theoretical ones, I'm gonna I have an emblem on in my gear list. It says it's listed as a holy symbol. I'm gonna say that it's an emblem of Rain's family clan or people.
All right.
I'm gonna toss it to him. See for yourself there.
You and whatever plans you have with the engine might be the catalyst for me being able to do more practical things.
Are you asking us to do something evil with this? Like, I don't know if that's the, like... no, it's fine.
You shall leave the plane.
Thank you.
Your disturbance will be logged, your personal data stored, And should you ever trespass in Danvi again, I will make sure that another inevitable will handle your case. One that is not as flexible as Tuvaktuul. Thank you for your brief stay in Danvi. All of you
I
feel
have questions.
the gravity shifting. You feel that your feet are coming off the ground and that the gravity is now going up towards the ceiling of this place. And
Now,
as you
those like angels we saw on the way in, are they like? Do they ever come to the other planes that we're going to? By?
you go upwards, and where you
Do
first
know
saw a
everything
ceiling,
about everybody?
above you, that the ceiling starts shimmering and shifting as if it's more of like a watery surface, and you're being pulled upwards towards it, flung up through the ceiling into a liminal space between spaces, where you're now falling further upwards again, faster and faster and faster, as you notice that the further you fall, the more moisture appears on your clothing and armor, soaking into your clothing, all over your skin, and at one point you notice that you can no longer breathe. Whatever's around you is not air but water. So unless you're rain, you cannot breathe at this point. You soak up the water,
I don't
bubbles
care
around
much,
you,
but
and
You
notice that there's fish swimming by as you keep falling upwards. And eventually all of you break the surface and come to water on the edge of a river. The four of you completely soaked, and one of you holding the Quintessence Engine as the sun of your homeworld burns down on you. What would you like to do?
Well, this went better than expected, I guess.
I would
Telepathically
like to-
tell Dyson is like, maybe put that in Delphine's like satchel where it cannot be tracked so easily.
It's
Oh.
like
To be fair, I like if you suggest this out loud later on, I will decline that.
I mean, Dyson's just gonna put it in his like
Yeah.
backpack for now. Will it fit in a backpack? You
It
said
would,
it's not like
would.
too large. Okay.
Do
I mean,
you have a lot of do you
he
have
has
a
a lot
lot
of
of
shit in there.
do you have a lot of other stuff in your backpack?
Yeah, probably.
Are you going to try to squeeze it in there?
No.
Is it like monitor stand big?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love how that's like a point of reference for us on this channel now. Oh, jeez, music scared me.
Roll for initiative.
He'll just like take out this like big square box and like hand it to Ray, and he's like, hey, "Will you hold on to my dragon chest for a minute?" And
Scary dragon chest
Boing.
over.
but you never know. And just like see if it'll like fit in its place.
So you put down, you pull something out and then put that in there.
Yeah,
into
it's like
the
a
backpack.
dragon chest like board and like pieces. Like,
Right. You pull that out. You put it into your backpack, and you shove it a bit in. It's a bit of a tight squeeze, and once you have it in there, you have your backpack still open. You look away for a moment, and you look back into your backpack. Your backpack was never this sorted before. Everything is now perfectly sorted in here, as if someone played Tetris in your backpack.
And suddenly you have more space.
I don't ever put. It's on the wrong side. I don't like it.
I thought everything was going to disappear or some bullshit like that.
It's just, I mean, I
Hey,
guess
it's
it
from the
works.
plane
so
of perfect
scared.
order.
I guess it works fine. Whatever. Is there room to put the dragon chest set back in there?
Like, you put the dragon chest pack on top of it,
Uh-huh.
and as you put it in there, you just see it like go deeper into the back to a little space that it just fits in neatly and tightly, but still nicely sorted.
Okay, this is kind of cool. I like it. Right.
Keeps the Quintessence Engine just to organize his backpack.
There must
What
be
it would do
some
if I-
magical stuff that Deuce does as well.
What would happen if I put this in my closet? Like,
You even have so many
pretty
clothes.
cool. Yes, actually.
I see you're always just wearing the same stuff. That's why.
Well, yeah, because we're always like jumping from a cliff or like fighting those monotone things, or jumping from a train, or I always have armor.
As you say that, you can hear above you, you hear like the and you all look up and you see that meters and meters and meters above you, there is indeed the lightning rail bridge that goes across the ravine. You are in next to the river in the ravine that you jumped into.
How
And-
about we catch that train?
Yeah, sure. Let me just run.
There should be another one coming, right? Let's go up there. Figure out
We
how to
can't
catch a
swim
train.
back. It's been so nice being in water again.
No.
You can do that if you want.
Can all of you give me quickly a perception check, please?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not like other people wanted this thing.
Yep.
Uh,
Oh, that's good.
Ooh.
total 7 for Rain.
22.
17.
22, 17.
Thank goodness.
It's the one thing Dython's good at.
Rebus, what did you get? Rebus, what did you roll?
11.
11. Okay. Dythun, as you like look up at the train and you see it drive by, you look around and you notice you are indeed next to this perfectly straight river, which had these very neatly organized orchards next to it. And everything is so neatly aligned. Even the trees in this orchards nearby, their branches are strangely organizedly growing. But you do see that there is some movement behind the trees in the nearby orchard. You see multiple individuals darting behind the trees.
I'm gonna pull out the handgun and point it out towards the trees.
You all see that happening.
All right, whoever's back there.
So, I don't know about you, but I'm totally ready to kick their ass.
I stand in battle stance.
Look, we just fought like 18 like robot things.
It's
It
okay
won't
if
be
you
hard to
stay
kick your
back, you're
ass.
tired. I don't
Coming
blame
out
you.
from behind the trees are 4 humanoid individuals. One of them a dwarf, 2 of them human, and 1 with some elvish heritage. And all of them have a similar green scarf to the one individual that you fought on the train. And where 2 of your party are brandishing or have at least fire like guns, 2 of their side have crossbows and 2 others are there with swords. And the four of them approach you, and the elf speaks up and says, "What did you do on the train? So you jumped from it?"
We're all wet.
Here we are, aren't we?
I mean, we did a little swim in the river.
So you jump right after one of our guys. What did you do to him?
We didn't do anything.
I mean, if he hasn't come up yet, he might be dead.
That's more on his side than ours, really.
Look, your fancy lad on the train stole the backpack of our informant, so whatever they had, they took with them.
You see the dwarf says, like, lowly, still haven't heard anything from Roston. The one other guy's like, shush. So other people with a green scarf on the train?
You know, theirs might have been like a ruddy brown. No, it's of course yes.
What did you just shove into your backpack?
A rock.
That wasn't a rock, furry idiot.
I firebolt one of them with a crossbow.
Mage armor.
And we had a fight again.
Make an attack roll with your fireball.
Rage.
I'm done. That's probably gonna hit. Where's the actions? Where'd it go? It's a 21.
21. Roll damage.
I hit one of the ones with the crossbow, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I said that. 15.
You fling that firebolt, and the one with the crossbow is hit right in the chest by your firebolt. His clothes start burning, and he's like, goes down to the ground, drops the crossbow, and is just rolling on the ground, trying to get the fire out. And now it's just 3 of them against 4 of you. On your side is a Leonin with a gun who throws firebolts. There's a Warforged who looks very scary, and then there's also Delphine and Rain who just have that presence. And the remaining 3 guys with the green scarves, they just stand there. See how you can get out of this ravine, huh? Bet you don't know how to get out of here.
Delphine just
Wait,
let me
do something, Devin.
You go for
I
it.
wanna misty step behind one of the guys. And basically, like, grapple them and put one of my daggers against his throat.
Can you give me, for the grapple, an athletics or acrobatics check, please?
Where's the fucking cat advantage when I need it? But I'm taking the acrobatics and I'm coming in with total odds 25. I'm good at acrobatics.
Yeah, you misty step behind them, you grab them, have the dagger on their throat.
So, let's have a little talk here. You see, we are in a little hurry, and I guess you love your lives very much, don't you? Let's become friends for at least a while. You bring us out of here, and we let you go. Maybe.
Oh, we need to be let out of here? As Rain
I mean,
flying 20 feet in the air and pulling up water with her, like water bending it.
more like showing the way to the next point where we can catch the train. Or do you have a map from this area?
No, I don't have a fucking map.
No, I'm not talking to you, idiot.
Do we have a map?
I don't have a
Follow
map.
the rails till the next stop.
There might be a faster pace.
I mean, honestly, like, What use are they even gonna be? Like, it's not that hard to find a way up. Like, we might as well just kill them now.
You're no fun, guys. Like, you're the most horrible people around here.
Fuck, okay, we show you the way out, all right? Like,
Thank you.
Wonderful.
you hear the dwarf in the group say, like, hey, what about, hey, if we're compromised, we're supposed to, like, you know, just kill ourselves and oh, fuck that. Come on.
If rain floats closer, do I see silver rings on their hands?
Yes, you absolutely do.
It's a shame.
I mean, what's even the fun in just taking death on your... Don't you have any families or anything?
We have a cause.
Yeah, cool.
Fucking. Just let me go and let's show you a little way out of here. You gotta let us live, all right?
You have a cause. Live to fight another day. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, well, okay. I'm slowly removing the decor.
The guy that you grapple takes a
Still
few steps.
pointing at them.
Takes a
At
few
the
steps away.
grave, just
Follow me. He quickly looks at Rain, who's doing half an avatar thing there, and then just wanders towards the orchard, indicating that you should follow him.
Oh, by the way, I hear that your role became quite shitty in the last time since the war ended. Any progress with that?
Just looks over your shoulder, frowns at you, and walks on. And as you follow these green-scarfed individuals, you have succeeded in getting the Quintessence Engine from Donvi after some parley with an inevitable who seemed to be kind of taken by your motivations and your approach to things. But you're not yet back home with the item, and once you will be back in Sharn, you have been promised a demonstration of whatever Nigel Forrest has been building. So we still have a little bit to go, but you've already succeeded in an essential part. And for today, we're gonna leave it at that.
Can I, as we're walking off into the sunset, can I make a spell?
Make a spell?
Can I do the spell?
What is the spell you would like to do?
I would like to cast Sending to our friend Tuvaktuul.
Ooh.
What would you like to send within 25 words to Tuvaktuul?
5% chance that the message doesn't arrive due to different planes.
That's true.
Do I have this
Can
one?
you tell if it arrives or not?
Yeah,
I
you know
will-
if it arrives.
Should I roll or you just tell me?
If you take a d20, if you roll a 1, it fails.
Okay.
That's a 5% chance.
Oh. I rolled a 7. It looks like a 1, but it's not a 1. So I tried to make a telepathic connection with Tuvaktuul, but that doesn't work. So I think a little harder. And I was surprised that like I can do this just by thinking about them and not by seeing them. And Rain is pleased with this upgrade in power. And as she finds Tuvaktuul, she says, "This walking injustice had a nice time with you. That which is cast as unjust, dangerous, and chaotic has a right to decide what it is."
Your words are sent across planes and into the head of Tuvaktuul. An inevitable, almost an incarnation of the concept of justice. You do know that your words arrive, and an answer comes into your mind. I hope events might unfold in ways that allows us to continue this conversation, individual Rain.
I crack my neck, and Rain is spent. Magically, she is spent.
And with that, we also go to our credits for today's episode and leave it at that. And congratulations, everyone. You got most certainly the best out of a complicated situation and have an item.
You were very kind. You were a very kind DM this session.
I'm not sure if I
Yeah,
was.
true.
You
I would not have given us the thing at all.
No, he did something worse. He's giving us the item, but then he's going to make us feel bad about it by giving us the moral quandary of us having to break our promise to the thing. That's
playing the
what's
long
worse.
game here. Playing the long game here.
I mean, there's a very high chance that the purpose we should not use this item for is actually used.
But the thing
And
was,
this basically just dawned on me when we were making this, like, yeah, no, we're not using it for it, like, yeah, but actually.
Rain is on board for this, though.
Thank you, Hedgehog, for the sub.
Yeah,
thank you. No, I love the scene that when Tuvaktuul basically cast Zone of Truth on everybody and realized, I'm not getting anything out of these people. They actually do not know things. This is like...
They're just a bunch of idiots.
they're like,
yeah, they're just someone's like intern who's getting paid to deliver a message or to pick up a thing. Like they have no idea about anything.
They were hoping for like, oh, I'm getting some juicy information, and like, shit, these people actually don't have anything.
Also, if I felt like as if Tuvaktuul wanted to mind game with us a bit to get his own purpose through, but then was basically hit by a wall of like, maybe?
Well, I'm curious to see how this will unfold for the party. We're not yet entirely done with this chapter, so there's still something to go here. And I am curious, especially curious to see, since we do know that it's promised to the party that you will actually see a demonstration of whatever is being made with these items. So I'm looking forward to that. But for today, this is this, and that is that. And this was a very poor attempt at being very profound. But we are done with this session today, but we're not done with stuff here on our channel. We will have on this channel another game in actually 2 days, on Thursday. We're going to start our games hosted here by the fantastic game master and game author Amelia, who is going to present her game here on this channel. I've been talking so much in this session. What maybe Ida, can you tell us more about what's going on in that game? What people can expect?
So much. Awesome. Yes. Spooky. Wonderful friend of the channel, Amelia, who is one part of Witching Craft Games, an indie game group, has this amazing game called 12 Occult Eye. And the premise of the game is that it's a modern world where witches and the physical manifestation of their fears and traumas work alongside them to further investigate other supernatural things around them. And they only have, in principle, 12 days to do it before they lose their humanity because of this back and forth. And what's really interesting about the game is that the witch and the demon are separate playable characters. So we have pairs of players who work with each other, but still pull at each other's, self interests as a demon and humanity as a witch. And Amelia is going to treat us to this wonderful, wonderful story over the course of many weeks. And we have a beautifully diverse cast of amazing players that you're all going to love. I'm 100% sure of it. And it's going to happen every other Thursday, starting this Thursday, on our channel at 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 7 p.m. British Standard Time, 8 our usual time here.
Exactly. So that's going to be this week as well. Next to that, does anyone else have anything else going on they would like to share before we wrap up for today?
This Saturday, I'm going to be playing with Robo, aka TTRPG GIFs. We're going to play in Roll for Latin Heritage Month. There's going to be all Latin tables across a day and a half, like 36 players. And we're all going to be raising money for mipatria.org, which is raising money for Puerto Rico in light of the additional hurricane damage from Hurricane Ian. I have a link to the whole whopping thread. There it is. And I will be playing at our time here, 5:30 Central European Time, which is 4:30 p.m. British Standard Time, British Summer Time. I will be playing Monster of the Week with an amazing table. And the rest of the whole day, evening will be more awesome all-Latin players, people we know and love, like Angela's going to be playing there as well. D'Angelo's also playing. Emerald Templars D'Angelo's going to be there as well. So definitely check us out, and for a good cause.
Great. Cool stuff. I will also be this Saturday again on the second session of a Vampire the Masquerade game that's run on Manipot's channel. We had our first session last Saturday, and we already brought our coterie of vampires into an interesting little situation, and that will continue on coming Saturday, starting at 7:30 BST, 8:30 CEST, over at twitch.tv/Manipot Studios. Thank you for putting that in chat, Ida. And yeah, that's it for me. Any other announcements anyone would like to share? See some shaking heads.
Nope.
How about we then wrap up here today?
I hear about a new YouTube video on the chat by Austin.
What, Austin?
No, that's everything.
We want to hear about it now.
No, it's fine.
I've already watched it.
It's fine.
Oh, by the way,
There's a
have
thing on
we
my-
already gratulated Austin for his birthday yesterday?
Was your birthday yesterday?
Yeah, it was. Maybe.
Happy
was?
birthday
Happy
to
17th
you.
birthday.
Yeah, I'm 25 now, which is fun. Yay.
Hey, congratulations!
Happy birthday,
You made it to a quarter of a
congratulations.
century.
Quarter century, yeah.
Here's for 8 more.
Yes!
Thank
Happy birthday.
Happy
Thank-
birthday.
Thank you.
All right. Well, with that being said, we're going to dry off our clothing, get out of this river, and see what we can do with a magic item that sorts all our cupboards perfectly. And we
that.
will then be back next week. So thank you very much.
Let's raid. Let's raid.
Oh, yes. Who are we going to raid?
I think Philippa's playing now.
All right. There
Yeah,
is.
which
a-
channel?
there's-
channel?
Girls
There
run these rolls.
is-
I sent the link.
There's a Mouse Ritter game going on, if I'm not mistaken.
Philippa, we love Philippa.
Exactly. We're going
Philippa's a
to
great
get over
person.
to Girls Run These World.
Yeah, great starting
And-
in a few seconds.
There we go. So let's go say hi to everyone over there. Thanks everyone for joining us today here. We'll be back next week. Take care and see you then.
See ya!